Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next in our webinar series from Precision Roll Grinders, outlining various ways that precision roll services can impact your operations. Today, we're going to be talking specifically about some new technology to increase tissue machine uptime and productivity. Just a couple housekeeping items. First and foremost, we hope you're all staying safe as we continue to work together through the challenges of COVID-19. We want to assure you that we're still running, that we're still able to provide the kind of roll services that you've become accustomed to. We can work with you virtually on value-added studies, designs of experiment, improving that value, which is applicable to today's webinar, along with all the other services that we work through together. You should have the ability to unmute if you want to through this webinar and ask questions or contribute, and we'll spend a little bit of time at the end to go through any questions you may have. You can use the chat function as well if you would like. So we'll go ahead and get started. Tissue mill efficiency issues. This obviously is not an encompassing list, but it is a list that is very consistent across our partners in the tissue industry. The first is contamination, buildup on bone hard rubber or chrome rolls. This happens in virgin tissue mills. It also happens quite often in recycled tissue mills. Sheet breaks due to stickies. Again, a lot of tissue, particularly in the States, is produced with recycled content, some 100% recycled content. Stickies are always something that tissue manufacturers, recycled tissue manufacturers, are trying to manage and can be a big issue. Rejects due to sheet holes. Obviously in tissue and towel, a big efficiency loss. Converting issues due to picking or holes. In many operations, converting follows or is in the same complex as the tissue machines, and there can be big issues with converting. It's even a bigger issue if you're making parent rolls and sending them out to a converter that has issues with picking. And then also high doctor blade usage on these rolls. So roll cleanliness issues, you can see some example there in the upper right-hand corner. The problem is bone hard rubber and even chrome rolls have very few release characteristics. They have characteristics that allow things to begin to build up, and then once things begin to build up, it takes off almost exponentially. It's kind of like the nucleation we all learned in high school, that once it starts, once that first piece of contamination is able to grab hold, off it goes and builds. Glue boxes, recycled fiber content, area around adhesive on the Yankee. Other process additives lead to buildup on roll faces. This contamination eventually leads to holes and or picking on the sheet. And then upstream problems, as we just discussed, in converting, sheet breaks, downgraded product, rejected product as well if it gets bad enough. So what's the solution? Well, there's technology out there. There's a dual layer coating technology that offers the release characteristics you need to prevent this buildup, but it also provides very high wear resistance. The rolls require little to no intervention for cleaning. One of the things that we haven't mentioned, because it's not a direct problem, but it is certainly a product of these problems, is downtime, additional downtime that may be necessary to clean rolls, to clean doctors out once this buildup begins and starts to cause these problems. So this coating technology requires little to no intervention for that. Doctor blade wear is either greatly reduced and in many cases eliminated. If there's no need to keep the roll clean because it's keeping itself clean, then in many cases we can work with you to eliminate the doctor blade. And less rejected material from converting, obviously less water usage for cleaning showers as well, which is not only an environmental impact from water usage, but it's also a cost impact from a heat usage. So what is the technology? This is a coating technology that offers a number of different tweaks to the coating itself that are custom provided for whatever your operation requires. You can see out there on the right-hand side where the applications generally best apply. The PC315 product you see there, upper and lower stretch rolls, seal rolls, toe rolls, glue containment boxes, that kind of thing. And you can see some technical specifications around the surface texture and the hardness. But again, the primary purpose of this is to reduce and really eliminate buildup, and therefore all the quality and operational issues that lead to poor efficiencies. Secondly, is to provide a cover on that roll position that will wear well over time. So individual application evaluation for these custom solutions, this is proven technology. We'd be happy to work with you, show you case studies, work through a bit of a design of experiment on looking at this and how it can really have a true economic impact on your operation. And again, the true economic impact will be statistically validated via performance data. And you can see there on the right-hand side, this is certainly not a full case study, but this is a real application where the 315 coating that we discussed earlier virtually eliminated sheet breaks that were contributable to that roll for 3 months after installation. And you can see there was a significant amount of breaks prior to the installation of that roll. So where does this apply? It applies in the forming section, on wire return rolls, on stretch rolls, on glue rolls, on the TAD section, upper and lower stretch rolls, after stretch rolls, fabric guide rolls, and lead-in rolls, and then the Yankee section with guide rolls, turning rolls, and stretch rolls. Again, there's history in each of these positions. Happy to review case studies with you and go through the specific application given the type of machine you have, the position of the roll, the heat in that area, the other extraneous factors in that area, whether it be adhesive, water, that kind of thing. These are custom covers to apply to custom applications. And again, this is not a rubber cover. This is not a sleeve or anything like that. This is actually an applied surface to your existing roll substrate. We also want to talk a little bit about, beyond just the surface of the roll, what consists, what does precision roll service consist of? Well, it consists of complete roll services, mechanical work, including bearing and journal inspection, balancing, old cover removal, and cover modification and venting. These are all very important items around these types of roll applications that need to be considered and need to be considered in a precision manner, just as you are considering the surface of that roll. It's a precision grind. Better tolerances lead to less vibration, higher speed capabilities. Tissue machines run at incredibly high speeds. And quite often we think that, well, it's a non-critical roll position, if you will. It's not in a nipped position. It's not carrying a lot of load. However, it is very critical. Tissue is a very fussy thing to make. And we applaud our partners that are out there making tissue and towel grades because it's very technically demanding. So at those speeds, you need to make sure that you're balanced. You need to make sure that your bearings and your journals and everything is correct. So we'd ask you to keep that in mind when you're working with your roll service providers. Detailed face inspection. Documentation and repair of defects that may be detrimental to coating performance. Again, going back to the nucleation we learned in high school chemistry, where a crystal starts and then everything builds up from there. It's a very similar process on a roll surface. So there needs to be very detailed inspection. There needs to be very experienced eyes on that roll surface as it goes to your roll service provider and then comes back to be put in your machine, so that you get the kind of optimal performance out of that position that you should expect. There's other required work. We mentioned venting a little bit, whip check and correction if necessary. In many cases, these are tube type rolls. There are certain geometric tolerances and physics that go along with those types of rolls. We're very familiar with those because we're roll specialists, and we are roll specialists in the precision fashion, where we're accustomed to very, very tight tolerances. So again, we'd ask you not to overlook these positions in the other respects outside of just what's on the surface of that roll, because it's deemed to be in, a quote non-critical position. And then whatever other roll services are out there. You can see the little graphics on the right-hand side, fully inspecting bearings and everything else, but also the graphic on the lower right-hand side. When all this is done properly, your rolls should run considerably longer. And that's the whole idea. It's a bit counterintuitive for a roll service provider to be telling you you ought to be looking at making your rolls run 2 times to 2.5 times longer. Because in essence, that's not as much business, right, for the roll service provider, but it's better business for the partners of Precision Roll Grinders. Is better business for all the tissue and towel manufacturers out there that are under tremendous pressure for production day in and day out as it is. You shouldn't have to be worrying about roll buildup in these areas of your tissue machine. So how do we go about making sure that it is true value, that there is a true economic benefit to you as a tissue and towel producer, or to any of the partners of Precision Roll Grinders? Well, it's a promise to provide that true economic value. We're committed to helping our partners, and particularly in the tissue and towel manufacturing arena, because it's so critical. That tolerances be tight, that speeds are high, and that efficiencies are high as well. That we are going to work with you to collect the data that makes sense. That will be done from the joint design of experiment, right? We have an applications engineering group, comes in with our account managers. We sit down with our partners and say, okay, how do we positively affect your efficiency? How do we positively affect your operation? What data are you looking at? What are the highest columns on your Pareto chart of efficiency losses? And let's put together a plan that all parties are comfortable with. Let's go about gathering that data. Let's put roll service in place. Let's put the technology of these kind of covers in place. And let's ensure statistically that, as shown in the center of that infographic, statistically that we've taken your normal distribution and minimized it, that we've reduced variation in your process, which allows you to shift your process towards a more efficient state. Really to the point where you can create a predictive equation on what to expect time over time. And at the end of the day, it's got to be an economic benefit for our partner. So in this case, it's great new technology on the coatings for your rolls and those specific critical applications on tissue and towel machines that will allow for fewer holes or elimination of holes in some cases. fewer stickies, fewer downstream converting problems because of the two, fewer breaks on your machine because of it as well. You all know as folks responsible for running tissue machines how critical all those things are. So again, we put this in here just to give you some contact information. Please feel free to reach out to your local account manager, to any of our 4 facilities. And again, we're adjusting to working with everybody in a virtual partnership. Excuse me. We realize that there may not be real easy accessibility to your facilities, but we can certainly work through troubleshooting, designing what information is important, designing an experiment, showing you case studies on how these covers and how these roll surfaces make such a huge difference, and working with you through that regardless of the situation we all find ourselves in with this COVID-19. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions that anybody may have. Again, you should be able to unmute yourself. Just checked again, or you can use the chat feature to go through any questions. We appreciate your time. We want to keep these to 15 or 20 minutes, and it looks like we're pretty well within that window. So there was one question that came through. Is this cover technology available now? Yes, it is. It's available as we speak. It's something that we're familiar with. So let us know what specific application you think may lead to better optimization on your machine. We'd be happy to look at that for you. Another question is this available internationally? It would be. The rolls would have to be shipped to the States, but we do have representation internationally. Jefferson Leite is our sales manager for Central and South America. He is located in Brazil, and we'd be happy to put you in touch directly with Jefferson. We know there are a lot of tissue manufacturers that are here in the States and also have a representation in South America and Central America. What's the turnaround time on these? It depends. We'll work with you on that. There's some initial work that has to be done on the roll to make sure that the substrate is correct, and then it has to go off to be coated, and then and back for balance check and whip and those kind of things. So I don't want to give you a specific number, because our job is to partner with you to get it to you in the most efficient means possible and right, so that we can prove value. I will tell you this, that our delivery time is generally more competitive than others. We do keep a certain portion of our availability there for expedited work. So please let us know if you've got one of those situations, which is, oh crud, we're losing our shirts here. How can you help us? We're well suited to do that. Okay, any other questions? Very good. Well, we're right at 20 minutes here. So again, thank you for your time. Please continue to stay safe in this environment that we're all working through, and please reach out to us on this new technology, on optimizing your tissue and towel machines through precision roll services. Again, thanks for your time, and we hope to talk to you all soon.